We have a YouTube series made for next to no money and a Hollywood film made with a budget of $10 million about the same subject and made by the same guy. So how come nobody is talking about it?
Backrooms is directed by Kane, Parsons.
What are the Backrooms?
Oh, actually, everyone is talking about it. And now so am I. If you don't know, the Backrooms is a sci-fi horror series about a secret research company accidentally opening a portal to a dimension of infinite rooms and the consequences that follow. If you've ever heard of the term liminal spaces, then you basically know what the Backrooms are. It's really more of a feeling than it is a premise or a certain storyline. Contrary to what I expected, this show is not just found footage horror about people running through hallways. Kane Parsons is interested in exploring the Backrooms from all sorts of angles. There's dia shows consisting of nothing but still images and ambient music. There's infomercials and PowerPoint presentations. There's an entire episode that just talks about the physical composition of the light panels used in the Backrooms for 9 minutes. And for me personally, this is when the show is at its best. When it delves into the lore of the Backrooms. Where did they come from? What is their purpose? And why do they look like that? I love the idea that at one point they tried to market the Backrooms as a solution to overpopulation, since they offer infinite storage for everything from warehouses to offices to residential areas. It does explain all those unfinished interior designs. When you see this kitchen, you might imagine that this was going to be an office lunchroom. Or if you see this couch, you could perhaps imagine that this was going to be someone's living room. As someone who used to play the Portal games and watch videos about its lore and Easter eggs, this setting of a secretive corporation trying to cover up its failed science experiment was very intriguing to me. All that said, the majority of the show does consist of people falling into the Backrooms and walking through different rooms going,
Hello?
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 What the hell?
Is this place? What the
It clearly has some interesting story ideas, but unfortunately most of them just end with people stuck in the Backrooms and the camera abruptly cutting off. And that gets old really quickly. At a certain point, I just need a little more than cool level design. I need a story. A lot of this repetition is saved by the technical presentation. This is some of the most convincing found footage horror you'll ever see. The way the camera behaves and the incredible sound design. After a while, you completely forget that you're watching a Blender animation made by a 16-year-old in his bedroom. And that's damn impressive. My favorite storyline was definitely that of Peter Tench, which the show keeps coming back to time and time again. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this seems to be the only subplot that doesn't end with the camera abruptly cutting off. While the series was mostly an aimless exploration of the Backrooms from all angles, the film tells a much more linear story within the confines of the pre-established world building. Here, our lead character Clark finds an invisible doorway in the basement of his furniture store that leads into the Backrooms. He doesn't just fall in by accident like so many of the characters in the series, but actually chooses to explore them out of pure curiosity. Eventually, his therapist Mary comes looking for him and also stumbles upon the Backrooms, and that's all I'll say about that. For the first time, there's a clear way in and out of the Backrooms, which allows for a more intriguing storyline than the one we've seen a dozen times before. With this film, Kane Parsons introduces a new interpretation of the Backrooms, whereas in the series it was simply a solution to overpopulation, or at least that's what it turned into. In the film, it is a limbo for fading memories of people and places. While it doesn't entirely replace the old lore, it does confuse some of the meaning behind these unfinished interior designs. Now it's no longer a work in progress office lunchroom or what was going to be someone's living room, but instead every place that ever was. Or rather, someone's memory of it. And I think this is a great idea because it basically encapsulates what most people already associate with liminal spaces as a whole. When I see a photo of a liminal space, I don't connect it to any specific event from my life, but rather a number of different memories, all melted together into one. You know you've been to some version of that place before, but the details aren't all in the right place. After a while, you start to misremember things. Maybe the exact spelling on a sign or the shape of a table. The Backrooms store all of these fading memories. And the film goes even further by trying to relate this idea to the characters. Both Mary and Clark struggle to change old habits and move forward, and the Backrooms are a physical manifestation of the incapacity for change. It's the past, and if you're not careful, you can lose yourself in it, and thus remain in a place of complete stasis.
Exist. Like furniture.
Even outside the Backrooms, the film frames the world in a way that is very evocative of liminal spaces. The sky is often so blue that it looks like one of those children's wallpapers. The parking lot, the furniture store, and especially Kat's residence give off a very fake, miniature vibe. And yet it doesn't indulge in this style so much that it loses track of the plot at hand. Personally, I have to say I like the film better than the series. I feel that the found footage format, as effective as it is also what limited the series' full potential. None of the scenes taking place in the Backrooms are shot with a live action camera because Kane didn't have the resources to build them for real, and without the VHS effects it would become glaringly obvious that it's a Blender animation. And this is where I think the film is superior. Kane is no longer limited to showing the Backrooms through the lens of a camcorder, and thus we get a more intricate storyline. Characters can run around freely and actually interact with the world around them. Not to mention, there are actual characters played by great actors who are really fun to watch, not just voices behind hazmat suits. But then again, because the film is so preoccupied with telling a subjective story, we don't get to see as much of the Backrooms as we did in the series. The film takes a rather minimalist approach, whereas the show really captures how insanely big this world is. So I think it comes down to this. If you like to lose yourself in expansive world building and mysteries left open to interpretation, then I think you'll love the series. If you like a straightforward storyline with a clear beginning, middle, and end, then I think you'll love the film. But honestly, I believe that anyone who is even remotely intrigued by the concept of the Backrooms or liminal spaces as a whole will get something out of both of these. Now, I would love to hear your thoughts on the Backrooms film and series down in the comments below. Did you like one better than the other? And if so, why?